Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you all for the second event of our series From the Alps to the Desert. My name is Dan Tillarini. I'm working as a project manager for the Swiss Pavilion. I'm also working for an agency called SwissNex. SwissNex is an agency of the Swiss federal government from our State Secretariat of Education, Research and Innovation. It has outposts within the most innovative places in the world. And our job is to promote Swiss universities, startups, and innovative companies, for them not only to gain visibility abroad, but also to connect with the most innovative spots. And we're very pleased to say that one of the most innovative spots now is Expo 2020 in Dubai. And so we're thrilled to have for 6 months SwissNex present here in the UAE, in Dubai, at Expo 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a treat this afternoon. We are very lucky to have the different representatives of the Owls for Peace initiative. And this talk is also going to be shown live to our audience, which I salute. I say hello. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to write it down on the chat on YouTube. So without further ado, I would like to present, to speak on behalf of the Embassy of Switzerland, Mr. Christoph Bühler, who is number 2 at our embassy, to say a few opening remarks. Mr. Bühler, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, is that okay? All right. Excellencies, General, professors, dear friends of nature conservation, thank you very much for being here. You know, one of the problems with the hot weather sometimes is that, you know, you have a well-crafted speech from your communications department, you put it in the pocket of your suit, it then gets so hot that you have to change suits during the day. Luckily today is cloudy, so I have it. I know I'm realizing I'm standing between you and the treat now that we have with these experts this afternoon. So I'm going to be very, very short. It's really just my task to welcome you to the Swiss Pavilion. I hope you all took your selfie outside when you were there. I'm happy that you found your way through the fog up here and that you're being able with us. This is one of our first events in a series on education, research, and innovation. It is also actually, in fact, one of the first events here at the Swiss Pavilion. And this kind of shows how Switzerland, you know, the value that we attach to exactly these topics. Switzerland, you know, is only one country, and if you want to deal with a global challenge, we will need a global approach. We have therefore worked on connecting our scientific and educational institutions with organizations in the region, and we are very happy about today's event, which really spans from a cooperation from Switzerland to Northern Africa, through the Mediterranean region, all the way here to the United Arab Emirates. And this is a beautiful example of how countries can find innovative ways of collaborating and building up a relationship based on trust and mutual benefit. In this spirit, let us all contribute to the challenges of tomorrow together. Let me conclude by expressing a few words of thanks. I would like to thank Her Excellency Dr. Nasir Maud Sultan, as well as the other representatives from the UAE Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, and also the colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps for attending today. And of course, a very big thank you for all the panelists who are here today for sharing their initiative with us in Dubai. I think I give the floor to the Consul General of Israel. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Ilan. I'm the Consul General of Israel in Dubai. You know, we as diplomats of Israel, we feel that peace is one of the main goals that we have to keep working on it. And that's why we're here in Dubai and the UAE with this new relations. But peace is being done by very brave people like Professor Leshem, like the General, like the other Palestinian colleagues in this project. So even though this event was not in the Israeli pavilion, I felt that I have to come here and pay my respects for these people, because the issues that we're facing today in our world, they really don't have any borders. Like you say here in the description, the issues we face are humanity. And if we spend more time and efforts in projects like that, other than spending in wars, etc., I think we're going to be in a very different place. So I came here to pay my respects and thank you, Professor. Thank you, General. Thank you, professors. All of you. Thank you for hosting this event. And I hope that this is one of many projects that we'll do to help humanity grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schussman. I'm afraid we'll have to. Oh, no, it's this one. We'll have to share microphones, which is not COVID friendly, but we have disinfectant, so please use it before you use the mic. So right now, it is a great honor and pleasure to host Professor Yossi Leshem from the University of Tel Aviv to kickstart this fantastic series of events. Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dante. It's a big exciting for me to be here, the first lecture of the team. We are not by myself, we are here in a team with Professor Alex Solen. It's not just by chance that we came to Switzerland. Switzerland is a country of cooperation, neutral country, and Professor Alex Solen joined our projects when he's a world expert of burnouts. And we have with us General Mansour Abu Hashed, who is not a zoologist, but he's a peace person, and he was the one who signed the peace treaty in 1994 with Jordan. We have with us Professor Chirkawi Imad, who is joining our project now after Israel started to sign the contract with Morocco. And we have with us a Palestinian representative who is working with us for several years. So I really believe this will be a big project, but I'm especially excited to be here in Dubai and to meet our new friends in Dubai. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we are coming to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change to learn how join forces. And I was privileged to start a story, which I tell you now soon, which we started mainly because one person. Over the Middle East, we now, from our studies, I'm now, as you see, old guy, I'm 74, but thanks God I'm still active. And when we started it in 1983, we started it in one kibbutz with 14 nesting boxes, and now we have 5,000 nesting boxes. It became a huge project. But it is not only an environmental project. I was in the past the head of the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel, which is leading it also in Israel together with the university. And we found out that the Israeli farmers and the Palestinian and the Jordanian are putting a lot of pesticides to control the rodent population. And this affected the people, the soil, the water, but also the migrating birds, because 500 million birds are flying over the Middle East, back and forth, 1 billion, and thousands of them were killed. So that's the reason we started. The second reason was to get through the house who knows no boundaries, people connecting each together. We started with Jordan, with the Palestinians. Then we had already the people from Cyprus and Greece. Now we have Morocco. And helps God, I hope that in the close future, we will have also Dubai and the Emirates joining us, because they have millions of palm trees. The rats are eating some of the dates, and the dates at the Majul are for the people, not for the rats. So hopefully, and we have nothing against rats, but we hope we can control the situation. So today I wanted to tell you briefly, how do we want to see our Middle East? Do we want to see it as you see many times in the news, or do what we are doing? Can you move? Okay. We believe in education, as already was said, and we have now hundreds of schools in Israel that Arabs and Jews are coming together and learning about bird migration. Wow. Now, okay. I like to show this picture where you can see President Bush stand like a bird lover, but he forgot to remove the cover of the binocular. So when you work with politicians, sometimes you have to be really careful. When I got this picture, I thought maybe it's not really polite to show it to the Americans. But fortunately enough, it happened also to our Minister of Defense at that time, Perez. So, okay. So this is one area in the Middle East that we started to work with the barnhouse. Maybe I do it. Okay, go back. Oh my God. And you know, for the Muslims, the owls are an omen, bringing sometimes bad luck. But I will see soon with the general, we convince them they are going to bring good luck. Alex joined us from Switzerland 11 years ago, okay? And as I said, you see, this is a real highway junction for bird migration from Europe, Western Asia to Africa. For example, the lesser spotted eagle, all the world population fly over Israel and Palestine and Jordan in 2 weeks. Now, for birders in Europe, to see, we know exactly when they come and when they leave. They come and pay money just to see the big migration. So this is also an economic power, okay? All the storks are coming, 85%, 600,000 storks. All the pelicans of Europe come over Israel, and they migrate to southern Sudan. So this gentleman from Boston, it's a Jewish guy. His name is Andy Goldfarb. He works with the Emirates for 20 years. At that time, it was under the carpet. I never knew. But his mother was a bird lover. And suddenly, I learned about him. She came to Israel to see the birds. We became friends. And he made a big project, which is called Pelican Peace Project. And tomorrow evening, we are going to meet Mr. Faisal Balul, who is a key person in Dubai, and he wants to learn what we are doing, and hopefully after we be with the ministry, we'll tell him what's going on. Okay? Okay? So the weather in the Middle East is perfect. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes you have storms, but for bird lovers, this is perfect. Okay? And we started also in 1996 to put radios to learn about the migration, and Angela Merkel, who just finished her cadention, she was the Minister of Environment. She gave us a budget to follow German storks. We made immediately a big website for students in the school. We have now 540 schools of children who are learning about migration and following the birds. And their project was called Migrating Birds Know No Boundaries. The USAID partnered, but it was not only a project of studying the bird. In the Jordanian, Palestinian, and Israeli came together. At lunch, they make together lunch after they watch the bird, and suddenly they became friends. So the big story is also, it gets people together, scientists, politicians, and students. Now, if you push, these are the summary of my study with Germany. Every dot is a stork with a GPS. The storks of West Germany go on the Gibraltar. They avoid to go over the sea, but most of them are coming over the Middle East. From Germany, 200 storks are flying over the Middle East, along the Great Rift Valley till Cape Town. And we give them Jewish name, Christian name, and Muslim name for the student. One of them went for 13 years from a tree in Germany to a tree in Cape Town, navigating every year on the same route, the same time. So some people say bird brain, that they have a small brain. They are doing it much better than we navigate. I am navigating here in the expo, I'm getting lost. The birds are doing it much, much better. And then the same way back to their nesting site. So now we developed cooperation. This is, for example, birds that are migrating from Siberia, from East Asia. You see, each dot again is a wader. They are flying every year to Australia and New Zealand. So now we are joining forces also with Cornell University, and I think the main name of the game is joining forces. And that's the reason we are 5 countries with the barnhouse, which we started, okay? So this works very well. We have problem with vultures. You know that we had 1,000 pairs of vultures in the past. Now we have only 45 pairs of vultures. So we made a lot of education. You go to the kindergarten, the child is opening his hands, and suddenly understand the vulture is 2.5 meters wingspan, and they get really excited, okay? And this is a vulture from Jordan that Ohad Sofer put a radio on him in the desert, and every day he comes to Israel. We have a feeding station to have some kosher meat and goes back to Jordan, okay? I was also leading a big project, which I don't go into detail because time is limited, with the Israeli Air Force, because they lost 11 aircraft from collision with birds, hundreds of millions of damage, and we made the map where the birds are flying. We were using drones and radars. And next slide. Immediately after we finished the study with the Air Force, the number of collisions dropped down by 76%, saving for the budget of Israel $1.5 billion. And of course, life of birds and aircraft. So the wildlife and the biodiversity is also a tool which is economically important, okay? We try to bring generals from Jordan, Turkey, Greece, and America, and the idea was to make a network. We worked with radars, but again, because of the political situation in this issue, we failed. But we still are optimistic, and I want to show you a fantastic story. Our former president, before Shimon Peres, who passed away today before 5 years, was Mr. Erez Weizmann. Ezra Weizmann was the commander of the Air Force. So when I wrote a book about a study which was called Flying with the Birds, and here you can see the Palestinian before all this started with the president. And next slide. Because we have this slogan, migrating birds know no boundaries, when President Weizmann finished his cadention in 2000, he came to His Majesty King Abdallah, and the official present was the book with the bird, and he wrote, "The king, like the birds who knows no boundaries, hopefully the people also." Then the story with the barn owl started not in Israel, it started in Malaysia, a Muslim country. Okay, I don't go to details, go on. Now we started with 14 boxes, as I said. We have now 5,000 boxes for the barn owls. Every pair of barn owls are eating between 2,000 to 6,000 rodents because they have, like the ultra-Orthodox in Israel, they have between 6 to 12 chicks every year, okay? So they eat it, and since 2009, or 8, we made a national project. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Regional Cooperation are putting the budget. SPNI are also putting the budget with Tel Aviv University. And from 700 boxes, we came to 5,000. So they, again, joining forces between the government and NGO and the academy works perfect, okay? We make poster for Jordanian. We don't put Hebrew titles, you know, because there are some politics. Better to write only in Arabic. No problem, you know, we want just to protect the birds. And that gets the people. You see an Israeli farmer with Palestinian farmer and Jordanian farmer, they are meeting and becoming friends, okay? And sometimes even at the end of a seminar, which was in the Dead Sea in Jordan, dancing together. And sometimes crazy stories. We had 5 events where we have a pair in Israel, a male from Israel, a female from Jordan, 7 chicks. And I gave a lecture in our Knesset, in the parliament, and I told them about that. So the minister of religion asked me, so what are the chicks, Jewish or Muslim? Of course, they don't care about it. Okay. And we have even one pair, a male with 2 female, okay? They had 19 chicks. Can you imagine? One male needs to bring food for one lady and 19 chicks. It's not easy. I have 5 chicks, and it's even really difficult. So Shimon Peres was involved. Okay, go ahead. He came with us to learn about the birds. We got Cyprus. This is the Minister of Agriculture in Cyprus. Greece made already a new NGO just last year, which is called Tito, the Latin name of Tito Alba of the barn owl. And now we have a new system which is called Atlas. We put 12 antennas in Israel. This is the border of Jordan. It covers also Jordan. And with the general, we are making now a research. We have now 93 barn owls with radios. Every 8 seconds, we know where the barn owl is. She cannot escape for us. Okay. And you see one of the owls, at first she moved around the nest, and she went to Jordan. Because Jordan is a nice country. She prefers sometimes Jordan than Israel. And last but not least, I just showed it to our friends from Dubai. Our Minister of Regional Cooperation, his name is Frej, a new minister. He is an Arab. Our Dean is an Arab. and the professor who is running it is also an Arab. So when I brought them to see and they hold the barn owls, you know, the professor and the minister wrote me, Yossi, only you can get 3 Muslims holding a buma. Buma is the Arabic name of the barn owl. And this was taken in Lebanon 2 weeks ago, you see, hunting them, and that's what we want to change. Hopefully we can change it, okay? To sum up, hopefully the main mission of us is to tell you our story, but to get new friends, hopefully from Dubai and from the Emirates. And you see, the barn owls, they can take their head upside down 180 degrees. I think one message to take home, first of all, think out of the box. Don't go only with the government. I tried with the government in the Israeli pavilion. I failed. But Switzerland invited us, so we are enjoying Switzerland. So we have to think out of the box. And the second one is, I heard it from Shimon Peres. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's what we are doing. We are going together. Thank you very much. And I want to invite General Mansour Abu Rashid, our best friend, to continue the presentation.
Thank you very much for our colleague from Switzerland to invite me and my colleagues to be here joining this this presentation. I was in the army. I served in the army many years. I was the head of the intelligence department in the Jordanian army. When I was a young officer, I was in Jerusalem. I fought the Israeli in Jerusalem. They took me as a war prisoner in Jerusalem for maybe 1 or 2 days, and then they released me with the other prisoner. And also, when I was the head of the intelligence department, I participated in the peace talks in Madrid in 1991, and then in Washington and in Wadi Araba. I met many Israelis, and here is my counterpart, John Baruch Shpigel. He was young, but now he's doing very well. And this is the late King Hussein. He received our colleague from Israel in the palace in Jordan. Why I am here and why I am with Yossi and with Alex and with Talal and with Ahmed. I believe that the comprehensive and justice pieces, this is our message for our colleague. For our colleague in Israel, for the whole world, that we have to have a comprehensive and justice peace between the Arabs and the Israeli. Next slide, please. Here, this is a historical pictures. This is the signing the peace treaty in 1994 between Jordan and Israel. And here myself, when I was in the army, here Ishaq Rabin, Allah yarhamo, and here is also, you can see the late King Hussein and the president of Israel in that days, and Christopher and the other people here, Mr. Clinton, he witnessed for the peace treaty between Jordan and Israel. Here with the barn owls. I never know the barn owls before. Barn owls in our tradition, it's a bad luck. And but in the hadith and in some of the verses from Prophet Muhammad says that the barn owls a good luck. It's not bad luck. But unfortunately, people, they didn't read these verses from the hadith. But now people in Jordan, especially in Jordan, maybe in other countries, they believe that the barn owls, it help the environment, it help also the farmers and the farm to keep the land and to keep the water clear without any poison. As you know, the farmer, they use a lot of poison, the pesticide. They use a lot of pesticide in the farm, and this pesticide, it comes poison in the earth, in the ground, and also poison the reservoir of water. And as you know, we are drinking the water, and the animals and the other, they are drinking the water, and for that reason you can see and especially in Jordan, we have a high percentage of the people who sick in Saratan, what they called it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. High percentage from the people because they drink and they eat poison things from the pesticide that are using in the field. Here, we built it in Jordan around 350 boxes for the barn owls. And this is our colleague who are working in the field. We call it field officer. They are taking care for the boxes. When we build the boxes in the beginning, people doesn't know why we put these buildings on the farm. Sometimes some of them, they destroy these boxes, and sometimes by the fire or by the other reason, they damage the boxes. Here I invited to Israel to give a lecture in the Knesset. I was I think I was the first one who go to the Knesset, the parliament, the Israeli parliament, to give a lecture about the environment. They hosted me there, and I gave a lecture. Here, in the Knesset also, Mr. Rivlin, he was the spokesman of the Knesset and became later the president of the Israel state, and the Minister of Environment also, he sat beside him. We have another project along the Jordan Valley, cooperating with the Israelis and with the Palestinians. This project, they called it PATS. You know, the Israeli, before the peace treaty in 1994, they put a lot of bunkers, military bunkers along the border. After the peace treaty, they don't wanted this bunker. They left the bunkers to another places, and instead of have soldiers in the bunkers, the bats comes and take it as a houses for him. The bats is very important for the people because, as you know, the bats eat flies. And we have a problem in the Jordan Valley. We have a lot of flies because the farmers there, they are using the minerals in their farms, and it's not helpful, this kind of mineral. And here, one of the commander of the Israeli army, he hosted me, and he took me to the bunkers and to show me how they started to prepare the bunkers for hosting the bats. This is another activities. As you know, the Dead Sea is the lowest point in the world. It's 425 meters below the sea level. And now we have, for the last 35 years, we have a shortage of rain. You know, the climate change changed everything in the area. And Jordan, it's one of the poorest country in water. We don't have a lot of rain. We don't have water resources. We don't have also sea to build a station for using the water sea for drinking. We don't have it, but we make a workshop for the students from university, from the schools, and to show him how much to keep, how much important to keep the Dead Sea alive. Now we can see a short video about that.
On both sides of the Dead Sea, a special event is happening. 400 pupils from Israel, Bedouins and Jews, Jordanians and Palestinians, joined a cross-border art workshop in nature. paintbrushes and musical instruments, talented artists from all over the world took a challenge to promote awareness of the drying sea. Dead is the last word one can use to describe this sea out of so many positive ways. Geological treasure of minerals and salt, and the lowest place on Earth, the hub of archaeology and heritage sites, containing desert habitats with rare animals, a unique oasis with living creatures yet to be researched, millions of migratory birds resting on its shores along their flyway. The artist team receives its first mission in a new environment, Zarqawi, one of the most beautiful canyons on the Jordanian side of the Dead Sea.
This is my studio, in fact. And the challenge is to, you have all of that and to put it. We were dropped here and we've got about 3 hours. The light is changing very fast and I want to capture this fantastic light in here, so I've got to work quickly.
Time is running short for the artists, as well as for the declining water level, which is of concern on both sides of the sea.
I am sad about the Dead Sea if I compare it now with, let's say, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the water arrived almost to the main road here. The Dead Sea in 30 years from now will die. It will become as a swimming pool. The only thing we can succeed and we can win to sit together around the table and to find a solution. So I am sure we can help the decision maker to give the life to the Dead Sea.
While clouds of uncertainty cast a shadow over the sea, Paul Winter, the world-renowned musician, is well aware of the region's attributes.
It's like the universal feeling that people have about children. And the same should be with our feelings toward nature. It's something that has to be preserved in any way that we can.
ים המלח הוא לא רק שלנו, הוא של כל העולם, ואנחנו כאזרחי העולם מחויבים לשמור על ים המלח.
הפרויקט הייחודי הזה שבסך הכל מקרב אנשים, ירדנים, פלסטינים, ישראלים, חקלאים שפועלים יחד.
והגיע הזמן שאנחנו נתרום לים המלח.
I hope we can join our forces together to give a life again to the Dead Sea. I hope with the new government in Israel we can do something. I am glad also in this occasion to meet my colleague, 2 colleagues here, that one of them I met him maybe 21 years ago or 22 years ago when we starting the peace agreement to implement between Jordan and Israel. And our colleague Ilan, he hosted us, me and Baru and Yussi Leshem, he hosted us in Sao Paulo in one of the meetings there. It's my pleasure to meet you all and thank you for your listening.
Okay, now we have the pleasure to have a Palestinian representative who will not be filmed, but he will tell the story from the Palestinian perspective, as I just said. Okay, just stay here.
Thank you, all everybody, for about the presentation. I'm sorry for about the sensitive the situation, but thank you to my colleague Alex for inviting me for presentation, and Yussi and General Mansour and Ahmad. It's good team for about work in the field. I'm gonna go direct in the field for work. Is distribution boxes in the field in West Bank. Exactly the area is northwest. Is very close to border Israel. Name area Jenin, but it's very huge because it's good habitat for barn owl. For about the mouse, is very problem in the field. The people, when I'm contact with the people, is all the people tell me it's have a problem in the mouse because it's the field cultivate barley, legume, cultivate field. It need the solution for solution because use in West Bank a lot of pesticide and fertilize is chemical, a lot of use it. But start work with the people for this in Jordan Valley, and then start distribution the boxes, and then check in the boxes, and then start exchange visit to Jordan, to Israel, because Israelis have a lot of boxes. For this, you see the color is the color blue is the West Bank. It's because in you the project is need a lot of fun. That's in Israel or another country. Thanks because Alex he doing the fund from Switzerland. Yes, thank you. And start a project for the build up the boxes in this area, and then I hope in the future more distribution in the area for the boxes. This work in the boxes, the result, I think is, I hope future same you see. Is this analysis is not West Bank, but is general in Israel. But is the idea what's the affects the barn owl for in the field. And then here exchange experience for about the bring people, because change the idea is important. When he have any experience, you want to go visit him is important. This my first one is me, and then my colleagues from Jordan. And then the farmer is this farmer because the idea he take general for about what thinking the people in the barn owl is bad luck. But is this no is something have bad luck? No Quran, no Hadith, no anything is there. And then he change the mentality, the people, because when I am start in the field, is the people tell me you are crazy. What you doing? What you doing? And then I bring the people, see what doing is good, is friends, is take mouse. You wanna take a time for awareness. It's not easy. You know, the people is different from country to country. And then in here make a festival, is big festival, is have Kavernatar and local community and the sheikh, because you know, is the some who is important in you wanna study in area, do wanna take the culture important. In here I bring all the people because it's have effect in the all youth and the children, women, all everything. When you have any connection, is good connection and relation with the people, is you can take good result in the field. That's it, and then exchange the students, Israel, Jewish, Arab, then exchange the experience for about the or learning the what doing the in school for about the environments. And then take the pellets from the field and then analyzes this pellets what contain mouse, reptiles, birds. You want to check in the bone. And then in here, you want to open in the pellets, you can have celebrate. Maybe you have chocolate. I don't know what have. You want to check in the Kinder Joy. Okay, next. Morocco project now. Thank you for the talk.
Assalamu alaikum. So, Your Excellency, professors and honorable assistants. So my name is Imad Sharqawi. I'm from Kingdom of Morocco. So I'm very privileged to be here in Dubai at the Dubai Expo 2020. And I came in the framework of Barn Owl, the new birds for peace. So I work as a professor at Ibn Tufayl University in Morocco. So my main field of work is, of course, zoology and animal ecology. So I was invited in 2018 to attend a workshop in Jordan at the Dead Sea on the barn owl. And I heard, first of all, my friends, Alexandre, Yossi, General Mansour, about their stories on barn owls and how they, of course, inspired also local people to protect the birds and also to encourage them to put less pesticide in their field. So I was so inspired about this project, and I just decided to join it. So in this year also, Morocco and Switzerland are celebrating 1 century of diplomatic relationship between both countries. And again, thank you for Switzerland and for Swissnex for hosting us today at this workshop. Yes, so I mean, the nature conservation is, of course, one of the biggest challenges in the Maghreb region. And of course, because there is a lot of issues with regard to the illegal killing or the illegal hunting of birds. It's not as dramatic as in other Mediterranean countries, like I would say in Egypt or in Cyprus, in Malta or in Lebanon, for instance, but it starts like this. And we are also facing a lot of problem for conservation of birds or wildlife in general. And one of those challenges is also, of course, to change people mentalities, because even in Morocco, we consider owls as birds of or species of bad luck, which has no relation with the Islam religion, which is the most widespread religion in the Maghreb and in Morocco. But it is mainly regarded as a belief of people. So we want, of course, to promote the role of barn owls as a pest controllers and to put less pesticides, but also to promote peace across the world through this new bird of peace. So change the white dove by the barn owl. This is the idea. So the situation here is that we are working as a team that is, of course, putting together farmers from Jordan, from Israel, from Palestine, from Greece, from Cyprus. So we joined, of course, as Morocco this year, of course, and we want also that this project in the future will become bigger and bigger. Why not also to probably attract more countries like United Emirates, Arab Emirates, and other Gulf countries, and why not other Mediterranean countries to this bigger project. So there is of course, a strong message here to spread out within this long or this wide region is, of course, to seek a real Arab solidarity around this issue, of course, which will have a cascade effect on other similar issues with regard to nature conservation and peace. Of course, in 2020, Morocco also has built new diplomatic relation with the state of Israel, and probably that some of you knew that already, is that there is one of the biggest Jewish community in the world is, of course, living, the Moroccan Jewish community is living in Israel. Of course, this big community have always kept relations with their origins in Morocco. So we want, of course, through our project to, of course, deliver message of peace, but also to try to educate people with this project, which is also promoting the nature conservation, the nature-based conservation, like the protection of barn owl by putting less or using less pesticide in the farms. Thank you very much. Comment? Oui, tu veux que je... Ah, oui.
Okay, thank you very much. Je sens que je vais devoir lui... Ah, ok. Ouais, peut-être. Ouais, volontiers. Je te fais signe. Okay. It's okay. Okay, thank you very much for coming to this event, and welcome, Mr. I don't remember your name, by the way. No, but
Mr. Bueller.
Mr. Bueller, yeah, sorry. Dante, for inviting us here. This is a great honor to represent Switzerland and to bring all these people from the Middle East and to show the role of Switzerland in bringing together people from these communities which are sometimes in conflict. And I will talk a bit the perspective of Switzerland. Yeah, you can? No, you have to turn towards the computer behind you. Yeah. No. I'm coming back to Morocco, if you turn in this. Okay. Okay, just a few words about Swiss universities, maybe just to present Switzerland. And you see, I'm coming from Lausanne. Beautiful place, huh? You have the Lake of Geneva, the Alps in front, this is France. And in Switzerland, we have 8 million people, a bit like in Israel, by the way. And we have 10 universities and 2 big engineering schools, very renowned schools. And in Lausanne, we have about 17,000 students. And in 2020, 312 PhDs were delivered. This is quite an important place for education. And, okay, you can continue. Again. I just want to present myself, very, very short. Maybe the sound a bit lower, please. Okay, I'm an evolutionary biologist at the university. As a professor, my goal is to understand the evolution of life, how it came, why organisms sometimes disappear, why they reappear. But I think one of the main goals as academics is more than just understanding life. This is to understand who we are as humans, from where we come, where we go, what is our future. And here on this map, you see how humans colonize the world. And there are very few organisms which were able to colonize the entire planet. These organisms are called Cosmopolitan Organisms. And one of the very few organisms which was able to colonize the world was the barn owl. As you see, this bird is widespread on all continents. You see this fantastic bird. And this is not out of Africa, like human. This is out of Asia. Thus the barn owl evolved initially in Asia, but it colonized the world in the same way as human, taking the same routes. Thus this is about what I'm studying at the university, and I'm quite really obsessed by this bird. I'm working with this bird for already 30 years. Well, when I was a teenager, I started. And this bird is, you know, I really like this bird. It's not my preferred bird, by the way. My preferred bird is the common swift. It's totally black, and it comes early spring. And when you see a swift, this is spring. And they leave the country before the summer ends. And I think this bird is fascinating. One of the reasons it's look like human. You see the face? It's like human. And this is heart. The face is like a heart, you know, love, if you want. But more than that, this bird is very scary. As our Palestinian colleague said, people are scared by the barn owl. He mentioned that in Palestine, people are scared in the Arab world, but don't forget, in the Western countries, it was exactly the same. But we changed our mind about 50 years ago once we started to educate people. And that's exactly what we are doing in Palestine or Jordan. Even General Mansour told us that the imams, they preach in the mosque and they tell to the people, don't kill the owls. The owls are your friends. As you see, we have really to educate with all means to change the mind of the people. Just to finish about a bit the research. To study these birds are fascinating, not only to understand the behavior, but also, you remember there was the Ice Age. During this time, all animals died. The question is, are they recolonize the continent after the ice melted? We collected blood samples of owls everywhere, in Palestine, Israel, Africa, and you see how they colonized. They started from Palestine. This is just a symbolic message. Just from Palestine, they recolonized Europe, North Africa, Spain. And during this process, there was one mutation which appeared. It's like in human with the red hair. This is exactly the same gene. It was the same mutation, and the owls started to become red. In Palestine, Israel, they are white, North Africa as well. But in North Germany, they are red. And I will just show you one scientific result. As you see, they are red, white here. And when I was a kid, I was fascinated to see this. The next slide. I was really fascinated by you see, this is in my own village. You can find a white owl and a red owl. And when I saw this picture, it was 30 years, a bit more. That's what decided me to come back to university. My single motivation. I did the first job. I was a civil engineer making drawing to build houses. I stopped and I said, okay, now I have to study to understand why they are white and they are red. You see, an obsession. And finally, I succeeded to do this. I'm quite happy. And my question, I realized this when I was in Tokyo. There was a conference, and suddenly I said, wow, my God, I'm stupid. 30 years looking at this bird, I never asked myself why they are white. This is the single predator, nocturnal predator, which is white. This is totally stupid, you know. The mice should see the white owl, say, yeah, I saw you, and they just flee. That's how they can succeed to be white. What we did, we captured these voles at the university, we brought them in the lab, and in a room, we had a stuffed barn owl, a dead barn owl, which is white, and we modified the light conditions, as if this was new moon or full moon. And we looked, the owl was flying, if you want, on a zip line, you know, as if it was attacking the live vole, and we looked at the reaction of the vole. The vole, they panic, they freeze, they stay immobile, and they stay immobile 8 seconds when there is little light. Next slide, please. When you have full moon, quite a lot of light. Yeah. Next slide. The vole panic twice as long. You say, wow, this is a ghost. What is this? And they stay immobile and gives more time for the owl to capture the vole. Thus, the barn owl was the single nocturnal predator to find the trick to use this property of the vole. Oh, it's too fast. Doesn't work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Go. Okay. And a last scientific result, as I'm working on the color, but also another scientific question, is that what I noticed is that the barn owl, they are not like this. They are not aggressive. They are peaceful. Next. And what they do, yeah, next one. What they do, they talk all night long. They make noise, they say psh, psh. They make so much noise that the people, the farmers, if the nest box is in the front of the sleeping room, they cannot sleep. Each barn owl can produce up to 4,000 calls at night. Why do they do this? And in fact, what they do, they talk to each other. And they tell, okay, I'm angry. No, no, I'm more angry than you. No, I'm more angry. 4,000 times like this. And thus, instead of fighting, they solve a problem peacefully by talking, negotiating, if you want, like ambassadors. That's what they do. And in the end, they say, okay, after you are more angry than me. Okay, that's the next mouse is for you, mouse. But the next time, the next mouse will be for me. And in fact, this is what is inspiring with this banal. Okay, this is my research, which I produced a book. Okay. Next slide. And this is what is one of the message from the research. This is an inspiration for us. When you look at nature, you see that they find solutions. Instead of fighting, they are just talking, making negotiation. And I always remember when I was invited by Yossi in Israel, there was a room full, half of the people were ecologists and half of the people were soldiers. Because of course in Israel, everybody do at the army. And I was talking, and I did not realize. And I was saying, okay, this is an inspiration. We should not fight and blah, 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 the conflict. And I thought, wow, what did I say to these people? You know, I was telling them what to do. That's not my role as a Swiss citizen to tell what they should do. And at the end of the talk, the people from the army came to me and say, wow, what an inspiring message. Wow, we should do like the Barnards. We should make peace and not the war. Next one. And that's when we came with this project, House for Peace. Again, an inspiration, as Yossi showed with the vultures. The Barnards breed in Israel, but every night, without passports, without visa, they cross the border very fast to hunt in Palestine. Thus it means that if you have an ecological problem in Israel, you don't solve it entirely if you don't do it in the neighboring countries. And that's why we need the Palestinians with us to solve this ecological problem at a regional scale and not only at a national scale. Now, this is the other way around. Okay, that's where we have to find solutions. You can, for nature, okay, all together, blah, blah, blah. And I think one of the key success of this project, as our Palestinian friend Yossi and General Mansour said, is that there is no link with tradition, with culture or religion. We are talking about a neutral problem. And people agree to be on the same table because we don't speak about the conflict. We never speak about the conflict, by the way. And we have a solution. Everybody from different countries face the same problems. We have to find a solution all together. And this is what we do. And this was, like me, I will come from the role of Switzerland, please. And this is why I am in this project. The first reason is because I'm totally obsessed by this bird, first, okay? And then I met Yossi in a conference in 2008 in Vienna. This was a congress about ornithology. I was giving a plenary talk, and Yossi as well. And you know, you saw how big Yossi is, and you see now how small I am. And Yossi came to me and said, "Wow, Alex," you know, you saw how he talks. "Wow, Alex, you have to come in Israel, blah, 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 blah." And you know, in the past I was very shy. I'm observing Yossi, and now I change a bit my way of behaving. I adopt a bit the Israeli. Yeah. Yeah. And Yossi said, "Oh, come in Israel." And I needed 1 year because in Switzerland we are very slow, by the way. It takes a long time, you know. And then I asked my former professor, hey, Heinz, what should I do? I should go to this guy. He said, of course you have to go. What are you waiting? I said, okay, you are sure? Yeah, okay. Just I took the plane. And I went in Israel, Jordan, and Palestine. And my first, this is for with the Swiss ambassador in Amman. General Mansour made an event with him. And the entire team of the embassy came in the field, and they made a nest box with my name. I'm very proud, you see, and with the flag of Switzerland and the flag of Jordan. And this was the Swiss ambassador who put the nest box, by the way. And this is what we call scientific diplomacy, and this is one of the message, what the scientists can do, to do more than just science. And scientific diplomacy, you have 3 categories of scientific diplomacy. The first one, that's when the leaders are talking about climate change. They don't even know what is climate change, maybe they know. And they want to understand, and they need the scientists. And they call the scientists, okay, come, explain me what we should do. The second one, that's when the scientists would like to cooperate, but they cannot because the diplomatic ties are broken. They need the diplomats to start a collaboration. And the third one, this is exactly what we do. The scientists are the diplomats. We start to collaborate with the neighbors. We don't wait for the politicians to take actions. That's what we do. And then the politicians say, wow, you succeeded to do something together. Wow, and this is very helpful. And what they do, the ambassadors, when they meet, they talk about this project, you know. They become friends, say, wow, this is a fantastic thing, yeah, you know, the arts and blah, blah, blah. And the connection starts to grow between the countries. Thus, we really think that the scientists can play a role more than just science, but to act like ambassadors. And that's what we do. And after my first meeting in Jordan, this was the Dead Sea, Yossi showed the picture when we were dancing, because before I was really a scientist, I was just doing science. And when I saw this, I said, wow, my God, what's going on? There were Palestinians, Jordanians, and Israeli, and I realized you have to see things. And I realized, wow, this is not the same story like on TV. People are just discussing, their Facebook friends, they call each other, you know, between Palestinians and Israeli. I said, wow. And when I came back, I decided, okay, now I should change, you know, the cloth and le veston in French, and start to work on the social component of the project. And I was lucky enough to know, as a friend, the State Secretary, Philippe Roch, who is very well known in Switzerland. And I remember we were in Sempach waiting the train. And I don't know what came in my head. I just bam, bam, on the shoulders on Philippe. You know, he's a very important person. I was so enthusiastic. Say, wow, Philippe, listen to my story. And he was, wow. He said, wow, my God. He told me during 15 years, I was trying to tell to these guys in Bern to do this and that, and they don't listen. I don't want to say what he said exactly. And he decided to help me. And we raised funds, because thanks, Philippe. And then I told Philippe, okay, you can go, I don't have the time. And I said to Philippe, okay, now what we should do is to bring this project at the international scene, starting from Switzerland. And what he did, he contacted the Geneva, International Geneva, and there was an event, Geneva Peace Week. And he tried so that the people invite us. And the people were saying, you are crazy. You want to talk about owls in this event. You are crazy. We are talking about peace, business. And Philippe sent me an email. He said, okay, Alex, I'm very sorry, they don't want. I became furious. I said, okay, Philippe, you know, if people want to stop me, this is exactly what they should not do. If they want to stop, I will move the mountains if I need to do. And Philippe directly reacted. He sent a very nasty email to the guys in Geneva. In 2 seconds, we were invited to come. Thus, Yossi and General Mansour came in Geneva. Next one. Then, of course, one success calls for another success. We went in Davos. This was supposed to be with the Honorable late Shimon Peres. And that's why you can turn. We went in Jaffa. We are very lucky to meet Shimon Peres. You see General Baruch Spiegel, the counterpart of General Mansour here.
Alex,
yeah.
I want to disturb you for one
please,
minute.
please.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
When we went to Davos, you know, Davos is the World Economic Forum. And we wanted to go there and tell the story of the Barnhouse. And there's a high-tech guy, he's Dr. Yossi Bardi. He said, no way, don't go there. You cannot push the Barnhouse everywhere. I went to Shimon Peres. He told me, Yossi, leave Yossi Bardi. You will be my guest. No one knows you and Alex and the general. I will open 20 minutes. I will talk about this project, and everyone comes because they know my name. Unfortunately, he got a heart attack before, and his son Chemi came, Chemi Peres. And because I want to tell you this, and Chemi Peres said this was the most exciting story in that year. And because today is the 5 years that Mr. Peres passed away, I felt that I should
Okay.
tell you this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. Our further painting for Shimon Peres. This is a scavenger. By the way, you can wonder why a scavenger, because Peres, he was called Peresky before, and this is Yossi who told me the story. And when he was in the Negev in 47 or 46, he saw two Peres, two bearded vultures, and on the spot he decided to change his name into Peres. And Peres means a bearded vulture. Okay, you can go. Okay, we did an event in Lausanne with the former chief of staff. Okay. I always show this picture. You can go back. This is my son. Between two generals, I'm very proud. the General Mansour from Jordan, and the general from Switzerland, the big boss of the Swiss army, who unfortunately passed away, our friend, 2 years ago. And I forgot to tell to my son to change the T-shirt. You see, this is Angry Birds with the with a rifle. And I say, oh my God, this is a diplomatic incident. But finally, they did not see before the picture was taken. Okay. Okay, and you see, we were invited at the Israeli embassy in Bern, and the ambassador of Jordan came. We were very proud to have the two ambassadors together around the barn hall. Okay, this is Yossi preaching, please. Okay, you can continue because there are many slides. And the Swiss ambassador based in Tel Aviv, who is a strong supporter, who helped us a lot for this project. Please, fast. We did an event with the Swiss president, Alain Berset, 3 years ago. And we were very lucky to, this is Mr. Berset who offered us this opportunity to have the entire diplomatic corps based in Bern. 150 ambassadors came in a farm in Switzerland to meet our friends from the Middle East. They came, of course, the Palestinian, Jordanian, and Israeli, and they could see the barnards and hear about the story. Thus the entire world learned about the barnard story on that occasion. And after that, I will finish with this, please. Okay, this is Yossi and General Mansour with the President of Switzerland. Please. I show to Alain Berset, President, what is the vision, where we should go. He followed a bit what I said, please. Making jokes with his wife about the barnards. Everybody enjoys the barnards. We went to the Peace Forum, please, go. With the Prince of Monaco, it was really, I have a story about him, but I don't have the time. Okay, now maybe most important. Suddenly I realized that I was a Christian. I forgot during 10 years that I was a Christian, because I was always in the Middle East. You see all these sites, you know, about religion, our tradition, in fact. And General Mansour is a Muslim, Yossi Lachem Jewish, and I'm a Christian. And at some point I thought, okay, I'm Swiss, I'm neutral, because I'm Swiss, I'm a scientist, I'm neutral, but as well the religion, we are not in the conflict. And I thought, okay, we should go to the big boss, to the Pope, to tell the story. Thus I met the bishop from Switzerland, one of the bishops, and I told him the story. I said, I have a very audacious request from you. He said, wow, what is your request? You know, Mr. Roulin, we have to be audacious in life. I said, okay, we are good friends, okay. And I said, what do you think if we go to the Pope to tell the story? He said, fantastic. Write a letter. The Pope is coming in 2 months in Geneva. I will give the letter in his hands, and I can tell you he will read the letter and he will answer. That's what I did. He gave the letter. I waited 1 year. And this was the 14th of March, the day of my anniversary, my birthday. And I was in a big meeting, very important, in Switzerland. And I had to take the floor to talk. And suddenly I received an email from the Pope. And I was really shocked. And I said to the audience, okay, I'm very sorry, give me just 2 minutes. I just received an email from the Pope. And because can you imagine the people say, he's crazy. And 2 months later, we went in the Vatican, the entire team. You can see it with the Pope, maybe come back. And the Pope, we had 30 minutes. He had a meeting after us, but he stayed 40 minutes with us. He was fascinated by our story. And you know, even the King of Spain had only 15 minutes. Our story was more interesting than the stories of the King of Spain. And I never saw a person like this when he was listening to us. He had big eyes, you know, like a kid. He was fascinated. And now he's a strong supporter of our project. Okay, I will finish with this. And maybe just this picture just before, and I will finish with this. This was not on purpose. I had many things to show to the Pope, and I did not put it on purpose. And you see, it was when I salute the Pope with the Jordanian and the Israeli with the banner. It's quite symbolic. Okay, and we continue. We are in Dubai, and next year, I don't know where we will be. And I'm very happy to have been able to present with our friends this fantastic project, very inspiring. This is, as our president said, this is one story. But I think this story is very powerful, and we can inspire to do something more and to preserve nature by keeping human in the game, in the equation, and to never forget human in this, and to just make something for our future. And thank you very much for your attention. Dante, thank you.
Thank you very much for this extremely interesting presentation and series of talks. I wanted to know if anybody of you had any questions in the audience. If this is not the case, oh, yes.
Thank you very much for this wonderful series of talks. We had a lot to learn from this. Very interesting how people from different countries got together for conservation. My small question is, we heard almost from all the places about the use of nest boxes. My question is, what was the need for the use of nest boxes, number one? And we also heard that the more nest boxes were used, the more barn owls we had. Is there any method of using these nest boxes? I mean, how many in an area and which areas, etc.? That's my question.
You know, we did I don't want to go because it starts to be late, but the basic issue is you have to put as many nest boxes you can put in the field. We find what is the best system for the nest box. At the beginning, you know, we started in Beit Shean Valley, which is hot like Dubai. It's up to 50 degrees sometimes. So that the chicks, if they lay the eggs net, were just dying out from heat in the nest box, which is even higher. So we made, like, you know, the best buildings in Dubai, 4 directions of air with double roof, so they could manage to be there. And one thing. The second thing is there are some years that there are low population of rodents, so they don't nest, or they just lay 2 or 3 eggs. Some years there is a big population of rodents. They can measure in the beginning of the season. This is a good season with a lot of rain and vegetation, and then they can have 12 or 13 and even nest second or third time. So then if you have many nest boxes, they can use most of them. So if you have enough money to do it, we are quite experienced. We have a team of 12 people who are monitoring. The Jordanian also have, and so that's the issue we want to join. In November, we have a seminar, 22nd to the 25th of November, with all our partners, including Greece and Cyprus, and we'll be most welcome, and we will discuss tomorrow if we can have 2 people from Dubai to come and see what we are doing in the field. And we have some of the people who are doing it for 20, 30 years. Of course, also for new direction, because we want to spread the word.
Sure. Normally, I am talking about Jordan. Normally, the barn owls or the owls, they like to live in the caves, and they like to live in the old buildings to run away from the people who are disturbing. But in the Jordan Valley, many people, they are killing the barn owl, the hunters, especially the hunters. The hunter, they kill the barn owls, and they took the barn owls after they shoot him, and what they called it, buying this barn owls in the market for some people who believe also that the barn owl good luck. For that reason, we want to protect the barn owls in the fields. We put boxes not to allow the hunters to killing the owls in the field.
Oh, yes, Christophe.
Thank you very much for sharing this inspiring story. A truly remarkable story that you've told us. Thank you very much. Now, my question is, we have seen this cooperation among these different countries. And thanks to our gracious hosts, the UAE, at the World Expo, the whole world is united here. So I guess my question is, are you talking to other countries to expand this project?
Yeah, one of our goals is to have the countries around the Mediterranean with us. That's why we did an event in Jordan with people from Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria did not want to come for political reasons. Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Greece, Cyprus. But we need time, and like Yossi always say, we're a marathon runner. You have never to abandon, and thus we have to continue. And we want to inspire not only with the barn owl, but with other systems. You can use, like North Korea, South Korea. There is a project to using cranes, which go from the north to the south. And this is a system where you can bring together people from these two countries. Thus, one of our philosophies to not necessarily to start with the politicians, but to start with the people on the ground, just the neighbors, to have a real dialogue along the border. And the barn owl, the nice thing is that this bird is widespread all around the world. Thus, we can do the same. You could imagine Mexico, USA, because we are living in these two countries. Thus, we can. That's one of our goals. Yeah. I don't know if Yossi wants to add something.
As I mentioned in my presentation, I am not a science in bird, but my aim as a general in the army, I fought the Israelis. They took me a war prisoner. I injured 3 times with the Israelis, and I became one of the peace builders between Jordan and Israel in the peace talks in 1991 and also later on. And then I became the head of the liaison unit between Jordan and Israel. My aim, I started after I left the army. I work in the Royal Palace as a consultant for the Israeli affairs. And the second intifada started in 2000, and all the cooperation between the Arabs and the Israelis was cut and frozen. We need to open track 2 to keep the momentum and to keep the cooperation between the Arabs and the Israeli. We opened a center, we called it Amman Center for Peace and Development. We opened in 2000 and still exists until today. I am the chairman of this center. My aim to bring people together. I use the barn owls as a tool to bring those people together. Without this tool, as you know, the peace and between Jordan and Israel, it became what they called it cold peace. And the anti-normalization movement in the Arab world, especially in Jordan, Palestine, and Egypt, they are very strong. They are threatening us all the time. They want to disturb us. And sometimes they threaten us in the news or in the publication or in the social media, but we didn't take giving him any attention. And for that reason, we ask also the others to join us to implement the peace, a strong peace between the Arabs and the Israelis. And this is my objective in my center, to continue to strengthen the relationship between the Arabs and the Israeli through many projects. And the barn owl is one of this project.
I will just very short. I believe, following what Alex said before, if you want to go on a bigger scale, I think, and we have here people from the government, from Dubai, from Israel, from Switzerland. The issue can be done not by the government. We have to join forces, as we are doing with 3 ministries of the government. But you have to go with the NGOs and the scientists. You have to look people like Alex that you tell him Barna, wow, that's it. He runs and he push. We were invited. There is an international organization, IOC, International Ornithological Congress, 2,000 scientists. The next year have a meeting in Durban in August. They already invited Alex and me to make a working group on wildlife, on birds, and nature conservation. And that's what we are going to do. So what I'm saying, and you know, I'm a bit frustrated. I'm Israeli. 1 year and more, I try to do this event in the Israeli pavilion. Fortunate enough, Switzerland invited us. So it's okay with us from every direction. The main issue is to spread the word. So what I'm saying is that the conservationists and the scientists and the NGOs, they are the organization that can, I think, make it. Of course, if you work with the government, that's the best way when you are joining forces. And that's what happened in Israel. It's going now to be in Cyprus. The Minister of Cyprus for Agriculture understood the issue, and that's what he's doing. And hopefully this will be the issue all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Yossi. Thank you very much, Yossi. I think this concludes our session. Gentlemen, thank you very much for talking to us today. It was an honor and a privilege to host such an inspiring message about biodiversity, about really bridging, connecting the Alps to the deserts. I think this is the message for today. Thank you very much. I will invite you to attend our reception, which we're having just outside of the pavilion. Well, there's nice refreshments for you to enjoy. I would invite the speakers to go in front to take a picture, and then afterwards we can all enjoy the night together. Thank you very much for attending, everybody. And thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you for the audience who are attending. Lorenzo, thank you very much. Lorenzo is our maestro. He was making sure that everything was running up and smoothly. So thank you very much.